Hiya, welcome back to Destiny, Debbie and the Lou show. This is part 4, and in part 3 we were talking about the discord process, what happens, and also about trauma bonding. So, Lou, are you
Hello.
with me? Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hello, and hello to our listeners. We were talking about the trauma bonding and the discard process. And in this discard process, that leaves the target with a lot to figure out, because at this point you are working out what the hell has just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a process of enlightenment, really, as you are trying to find answers, because nothing seems to add up. And while they're creating the trauma bond, and the cognitive dissonance, and this is where you start to see the pattern forming. So you start to see these things that are happening regularly. You may even tie these in with, certain times that they would go away, or, other certain triggers that would cause them to do these types of things that are not your fault. And this is the one thing that I really do want to drive home. It is not your fault. You haven't done anything wrong. What you've done, you've played into a program, much like a computer program. Really, it really is. It's going to follow its logical conclusion.
Well, as you said back in show 1, it's problem, reaction, solution. They've created the problem, and they know what your predicted reaction's going to be.
Exactly. Well, this is now where you begin to turn the tables, because forewarned is forearmed. So as you are trying to rebuild your life and work out how you're going to carry on, in a state of exhaustion, you really do need to understand this pattern in behaviour, because it's the patterns that are revealing who they really are. And the one thing that you do have that you can rely on is what we call gut instinct. Commonly also called intuition, because the head will tell you one thing, the heart will tell you something that's in complete opposition, and the two will argue. And this is what creates the cognitive dissonance. And this is where you have to stop listening to either, and you go into survival mode, much in the way that an animal does, and start working on your instinct and learning to trust in your intuition. Now, you will have chronic anxiety at this point, and it is this chronic anxiety that is your gut that is telling you something is very, 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 very wrong.
Yeah, like I coined the phrase, if you feel uncomfortable, then it's time to move. And also, your body does not and cannot lie to you.
Exactly. You now think that they've gone, and they've gone forever, and you are probably, in all honesty, hoping that they will come back.
Yeah, because you're addicted still. You're like that heroin or that meth addict.
Yeah.
You are deep down inside, you want them back because you're addicted to the trauma and the drama.
Yeah.
And to them.
And this is the point that you really do have to dig deep and find some strength. Block them on your social media. Block them from your smartphone. Do not answer their calls. Do not answer or even read their text messages or their emails. It's very, very difficult, because what they are trying to do in this process is the hoovering.
Yeah.
They want to see what stage of energy replenishment that you're at, so they can come back and jack in for another feed.
Yeah.
Because you are supply, you are food. It is like a bottle that is being refilled. They have drained the bottle, and that bottle is now empty. They know that that bottle will refill. So while that bottle is refilling, and you're sitting there crying your eyes out and brokenhearted and in an absolute state of complete and utter devastation, they're off somewhere else with another target, feeding on that bottle. When that bottle is looking like it's getting empty, the narcissist doesn't move forward onto another one. It always comes back.
Like a bad penny. Just like a bad penny. Always turns back up. I had a friend and her narcissist turned up 8 years later.
Yeah. Yep, they do. They do. Because time, it means nothing to them. No. There's no boundaries. There's no respect. Because when they walk out of your life, it's like pressing pause on the DVD.
Yeah.
In their mind, you are in freeze frame. When they walk back into your life, they press play and you carry on. Yeah. Like nothing has happened. So all of the trauma and the abuse that you've experienced thus far, they don't acknowledge. They won't acknowledge it, you know. And if they do acknowledge it, it's your fault.
Yeah. They didn't ask you to feel like that. That's your problem.
Well, you did this. You did this. That made me do this. Well, you made me do it. I did this because you made me feel this way, right? If you hadn't done this, then I wouldn't have reacted in that way, because they have a fundamental pathological inability for any form of self-responsibility or self-accountability. Because then in doing that, they have to come out of either victim mode or hero mode and have to take the role of the villain. And that is what they absolutely fundamentally cannot do. They are not capable of it.
They can't take responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault.
It is. It's always someone else's fault. And one of their favourite games to play is victim blaming. It's to blame the victim. You know, there was a case of an incident between you know, a target and a narcissist that were living together, that you know, they woke up with themselves being sexually assaulted. And after the assault, and the target actually, you know, had to go back and told them what had happened and called it out for what it was. The narcissist said, you know, that they had put them in a very difficult position, and that it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault that they did that, because they, you know, had made the target had allegedly made some flippant, jokey comment about wanting that to happen when the victim was asleep, which is absolute rubbish. And so that they were trying to evade responsibility and accountability for their own choices, for their own actions, and for their own behaviour, because in doing so, then it all slides off them like Teflon Tony, and they don't have to accept any of the consequences that comes with it. And this is why they normally run. And a narcissist will be very much a Walter Mitty type as well. So the next one that it meets, it will be a different character. You know, it's like the 1970s children's TV show Mr. Ben, where it goes into the shop, puts on the costume, you know, or the clown costume or the fireman costume, and it goes through the magic door, you know, into fantasy land. And this is how their minds work. Once you begin to get a handle and understand it, you know, you're going to come out of this experience with a PhD in criminal psychology, you know, because you have to, this obsession within your own self to make sense of what you have experienced, because you cannot let it go, because you're traumatized and hooked in. You have to be able to reclaim your sense of self, and you can only do that when you can have an understanding of the experience that you have had. And so that you go on this journey of self-exploration, into try to understand what is going on with them, because that is natural empathy. Well, why are they doing this? You know, what is causing them to do that? Because then you can understand, well, what behaviours am I doing to trigger them to do that? Because you want to prevent this from happening again in the future. You know, because at this point you are now sort of like trying to, you know, what's the word, forensically pick apart absolutely every moment, because it will come from your subconscious and you will get triggered, you know, and it will throw it into your conscious mind, and you'll remember, oh, and they did this, you know, and that will elicit an emotional response, you know, and the healthy response is anger. Up to, first of all, it starts off as, you know, deep hurt, deep pain, you know, and as you sort of get through that pain, you get to the bottom where it starts to turn around. It's actually you're trying to reclaim your power, and it starts to come back. Actually, I'm not very happy about this. I'm angry. And that is when you start to recognize that you actually are healing, because when you reach the anger level of your emotions, that's healthy, because anger is an energy that drives you forward.
Yeah, because while you're under the narcissistic abuse, you'll find that the last emotion that you will get is anger. You'll have sadness, you'll have despair, you'll have despondency, you'll have highs, you'll be in love bombing. But the one emotion that is missing is anger.
Yes.
And it's like it doesn't matter what they do or what they say, you can't get angry with them.
No, because
that comes later.
Because during the process, the devaluation process, they've shaved this out of you. Because what they're doing in this devaluation process that puts you into this crashed out state is they are disconnecting you from your sense of self. And in disconnecting you from your sense of self, they're working on your subconscious to disconnect your ability to access your own internal power. Right. And your own internal power is about being able to stand it up for yourself, so that you are put into victim mode that you can't get out of. It's like being put into the bottom of a well and then taking the ladder out, and you can't climb out. You've got to work out how to get out of this deep, dark hole that they've led you down into, and then whip the ladder away while they're at the top and you can't get out. You're stuck.
And the sad thing is, in its Stockholm Syndrome, is you don't want to get out.
No, because the Stockholm Syndrome, the Stockholm Syndrome is that, you know, you have formed through trauma bonding, you know, is that you are defending your abuser.
Yeah, and because you think that you love your abuser.
Well, this is it, because you're associating feelings of love with pain and abuse.
Yeah.
So you are, you know, that they are your love drug dealer. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how awful that they are. You are looking for the payoff of the hit of love. You know, the serotonin and the oxytocin and the dopamine release. You know, and they're the only ones that can give it to you. So you will tolerate anything to get that.
Just like a heroin, or just like a drug addict or an alcoholic.
Yes, because it is active. Yes, because you are dealing with the same areas of your brain that are being affected. Yeah. Same as if you had a cocaine habit or an alcohol habit.
Yeah.
It works in addiction centres.
Trouble is, though, is there's no addiction centres, there's no pills, there's nothing out there to help victims of narcissistic abuse. I mean, the difference is we didn't choose to have that addiction. I mean, don't get me wrong, I feel a lot of sympathy and empathy for addicts, but it was a drug of their choice.
Yeah.
We were sort of, it's like you're being kidnapped. It's not as if you had a choice of that drug.
Well, you've been manipulated into becoming an addict, because this is exactly what the narcissist is. The narcissist is an addict within themselves. They're addicted to power. Yeah. They're addicted to creating pain because they feed off of other people's pain. Yeah. And this is where you're at, you know. And unfortunately, the only one way through it is cold turkey. When it is
no contact.
No contact, which is cold turkey, and you go through withdrawal. This is where you really do need to reach out to people that you have had in your life that have known you for a long time, because the chances are that people around you have seen this coming. They've backed off in the isolation process, because the narcissist is all about destruction, destroying everything that brings you joy. All of your relationships, your long-standing relationships with friends, family, colleagues, any, you know, sort of social clubs or anything that, you know, you enjoy doing, because that takes away time and energy from the attention that they want from you for themselves. So you are not allowed to have anything for yourself because everything is all about them. Right, so this is where you need to reach out to people and swallow your pride and put your hands up and say, please help. And this is...
We've run out of that time. We're going to have to take this over to part 5.
Okay, we'll do that, and we'll see our listeners in part 5. Thank you, Debbie.
In part 5.